Shalom, 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 Israel. What's good? What's good? It's I got a discussion, man. I want to talk to you guys about, man, the difference between Eber and Abraham. See, it's been kind of a discussion about where Hebrew come from. Now we all know Noah spoke his own language, and we got to understand Noah come from the old world, the world that was previous before it was washed away with a flood. So when Noah came into the ark and they docked on Mount Ararat, and then when they emerged from you had Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Those three sons all spoke the language of Noah. But as the world was about to be repopulated with Noah and his sons, Japheth and his sons were given nations according to their different tongues because they spoke different tongues. Even in the Tower of Babel, when the Most High dispersed all of the nations and confused the tongues so they couldn't speak the same language. Now, even though Eber, matter of fact, let me tell you who Eber is. Now, Eber is the great grandson of Noah. Give me 1 second. I want you to bear with me on this one, man, because this was a good topic, man. I kind of liked it, man. See, we get into who we're gonna get into who Eber is. Matter of fact, let me just bear with me, man, because I really want to dialogue with you guys for a minute, man. I want you guys chop it up with me and work with me, man. Because the difference is who is Eber and what language did he speak? See, Eber wasn't the first person to be called a Hebrew. Abraham was. And you can go through Genesis. You can go through Genesis, like I said, you can go through Genesis 12th chapter through 17th chapter. And 17:5, it'll tell you when Abram went from Abram to Abraham. Now, see, Eber didn't speak the language that Abram spoke. Abram spoke the language of his dad when they was over in Ur Chaldea. They had their own tongue. See, people kind of get it misconstrued and they say Hebrew came from Eber. It didn't. It just because Ivar being in Hebrew, Ivar is Eber. Now you gotta understand something, man. It goes according to your faith. Hebrew is not a language. It's a faith. Noah was the only one who knew God. After he redeemed Abram and changed his name to Abraham, the people referred to him as Hebrew because of his faith and belief in one God. Up until then, no one knew God. No one knew him. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, the Most High dealt well with every individual, but on a personal level, he only dealt with Noah. He even dealt with Cain, But when the new world was being emerged from the ark, it was different. Now, a lot of people want to get it misconstrued because these Caucasians, they told you Eber is the way. I don't know if they told it, but I know his name was Heber, Heber, Heber. He wasn't a Hebrew. His name. See, it's crazy because I like to explain a lot to people, man, and what I've learned, man, because Isaiah 29:2, it said, therefore, thus said the Lord who redeemed Abraham. It's the reason why he changed his name from Abram to Abraham. It had nothing to do with the language. It had everything to do with the faith. Because before he changed his name, he was just the son of Tyreek. He was just the son of an idol worshiper. Now, we get into the understanding of who Eber was. Now, bear with me, man, because what I'm about to do, man, is simple, man, but it's not simple for everybody else to understand it, man. I'm going to break down who Eber is. Give me 1 second. I'm going to break down exactly who Eber is so we can get an understanding, man. Because we can get in these scriptures and lead from our own understanding. We got to get into it and we got to dialogue together. But everybody can't dialogue like that, man. So I'm finna explain to you who Eber was, so we can actually get a good breakdown of who this is, man, because we got to understand, we got to re-educate ourselves, man, because these Caucasians ain't did a good job, man. They lied to us, man. And like I tell people, man, I stay within these scriptures, man, because I love them, man. It's like that's all I think about. I don't think about too much of nothing, man. I know how corrupted the world is, man. And these Caucasians ain't going to tell you nothing, man. They going to lie to you every which way they can, man. So, Eber. We're going to get into who Eber was in Genesis. Who is Eber? Baby, I could tell that you need it. I could tell that. All right, we're going to get into it, man. A great deal of speculation surrounding the biblical figure Eber, not Hebrew, Heber, in the Septuagint. It is generally assumed that the word Hebrew. It is generally assumed that the word Hebrew is derived from his name. Assumed. It's not necessarily meaning Hebrew did not arrive from Eber's name. Now I'm getting this from the article. I'm getting this from a certain article. I get a lot of sources, man. I just go through a lot of sources and I read. The Lord don't give everybody the spirit of discernment, but some people are able to read between the lines. A great deal of speculation surrounding the biblical figure of Eber, Heber, in the Septuagint. It is generally assumed that the word Hebrew is derived from his name, which is not. Because in 1930, in 93 AD, Josephus wrote the Hebrew were called after Eber. No, they were not. They only started referring people after Hebrew because of Abram, when his name was changed to Abraham, and the people started referring to him as a Hebrew shepherd. People can't understand that because people don't know what people leading off other people understanding, which is understandable, but we got to get into it together. However, this view of Eber was a feminist, I can't say that word, a spinous ancestor of the Hebrew. Is chromatic sense of Genesis genealogy. I'm gonna skip through that. Eber is a descendant of both Ham and Shem, and the father. We're gonna get into it, man. Hebrew. We're gonna get into it, man. Who is Eber? Eber was the father of the Eber was the father of two firstborn sons by his two wives. The cousin wife of the heir to the throne, Eber, father-in-law. Abraham's son. We're gonna get into Eber's son. Listed Shem as Eber's ancestor, but Eber is a descendant of Cush, royal descendant of Ham and Shem, intermarried. Eber is the great ruler of. Give me a second, man, because I go through so many articles, man. I like to read. I like reading them, man, because he's a great grandson of Noah. See, Eber. Everybody got a speculation that his name is where they get Hebrew from. That's not the case. See, Hebrew is a faith. When you believe in one God and one God only. Now, at that time when Noah came out the ark, emerged from the ark, he had Ham, Shem, and Japheth. The curse of Ham. What tongue did Ham speak? He was the father of the Egyptians. They had their own language. You had Ham, he had his own language. You had Shem, his kid had his own language. You had Japheth, they had their own language. It's a whole different setup. It's a whole different makeup. So you got to understand that first. Because even when the Most High was speaking to Noah, they weren't speaking an ancient tongue. This is an old ancient tongue because he came from the old world. Now we got to follow the genealogy of this, man. We got to get into it and understand it. And many people can't, man, but I can understand why, man. So I'm finna try to break it down to the best of my ability. Who was Eber? Genesis 10:21, unto Shem, also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth. And Eber, even to him were children born. I can't say these names, so I'm not gonna try to. Genesis 10:25, and unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in this day was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan, whatever. It says Seleth lived in Genesis 11:15. I'm just breaking down who Eber was, because Eber, they all did not know the Most High like Noah did. You see what I'm saying? They was able to populate the world, but the world people didn't know them as a Hebrew. You see what I'm saying? Noah was not a Hebrew. Noah was just a humble servant. When you go all the way back to man might have wrote in a language that was ancient because no one know nothing about that. You got to get into a mindset of what if you existed in that time with those people. But we living in America and people have been fed so many different lies, but we got to understand they only assumed Hebrew came from Eber, who was called Heber, H-E-B-E-R, not Hebrew. Now we got to understand where Hebrew actually come from. Now we're going to get into it. I'm going to get into who Abraham was, man. Because Abraham was the very first person to be called a Hebrew shepherd. He was a rich Hebrew shepherd. And I'm going to get into the story of Abraham too. And it's in Genesis 12 chapter. See, we got to understand this, man. We got to get a good understanding of it, man. I just love it, man. I just love the story, man. I don't know about a lot of people, man. Because, see, people, it's like they tell you certain things they want you to believe. But you have to get into it yourself and understand it. It's a lot of brothers, man, that I dialogue with, man, and I don't insult no other brother, man. I just tell them, man, you got to get deeply into your studies, man, if you want to understand where Hebrew come from, man. And like I tell people, man, Eber was not a Hebrew. He spoke, see, so when Abraham came up, what language did Abram speak? He spoke that of the same tongue his dad spoke. He spoke the same tongue his dad spoke. So where did Hebrew come from? Where did Hebrew come from? It came from the promise that was made unto Abraham. It came from the promise. I'm finna get into that too. I'm finna get into that right now. I'm finna walk y'all through Genesis 12 chapter. Genesis 12 chapter, and I'm finna walk y'all to Genesis 12 chapter real quick. Bear with me. I like to move, man. I love this, what I'm doing, man, because not everybody can do this, man, because everybody don't have the Most High's not working with everybody, man. He's not, man. And the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of the country, from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto the land I will show thee. So what language was Abram speaking right there in Genesis 12 chapter? What language do you guys think he was speaking? Was he speaking the Hebrew language? If that was the case, then everybody would be speaking Hebrew, don't you think? Everybody in that region would be speaking, his dad would be speaking Hebrew. So all of his descendants would be speaking Hebrew. But they wasn't. It was Sumerians. It was a lot of different nations around that time. Even Japhetic people, they was divided in Genesis, I think Genesis 10:5. Matter of fact, let me get into it. Genesis 10:5 before I get into Abraham real quick. Because it specifically tells you in Genesis 10:5, these were the isles of the Gentile divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families and their nation. Why did it say everyone after his tongue? And this is the son of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, and put in Canaan. And it says, and it goes down further. If you get into chapter 10, it goes down, and it says the same thing. Unto Shem, also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth and elder. All of them was divided. And unto Eber were born 2 sons. And I'm going to skip on down. All these families of Noah, a generation in their nation, and by these were the nation divided in the earth after the flood. Now, on the 31 verse, on 10th chapter, 31 verse, these are the sons of Shem, after their family, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. Remember that, man. Y'all got to get into this. Understand that. Every individual had their own tongue, man. Every individual was speaking their own tongue. Even though they built the Tower of Babel, and they came together and they wanted to build a tower up to the Most High God, he confused their heads. Make sure they couldn't speak no more. They couldn't come together and congregate like that no more and try to do something that goes against the Most High. Because he wasn't dealing with no other nation, man. He was only dealing with Noah. But he let the children do what they want to do. They knew about the Most High God, but they couldn't understand because the Most High God wasn't dealing with them. You see what I'm saying? They didn't worship. Now, when Abraham came up, now let's get into Abraham. Let's get into the 12th chapter. Let's get into the 12th chapter, man. I love this, man. That's why I tell my people, man, do not be swayed by these folks and their false doctrine, man. They're going to tell you what they want you to believe, man. You just got to get into it yourself, man. That's the only way you're going to come to some conclusion, man, because the Most High God is not the author of confusion. He's not. So we get into 12th chapter, Genesis 12th chapter. That's why I love Genesis, man. All these are the generations of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Medivh, and Jovan, and Tabal, and whatever the name is, and the son of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rephtha, whatever the name is, and some more names. And these were the isles of the Gentiles. Japhetic people were called Gentiles at that time. Divided in their lands, one after his own tongue. Everyone after his own tongue. Remember that. Y'all got to keep that right there wholeheartedly. Got to hold that right here. One after his own tongue. After their family. After their nation. The Most High divided them all up after their own tongue because they were speaking their own language. Abraham spoke the language of his dad at that time because they came up in a whole different era. They didn't come up like we coming up, man. We just trying to come to some understanding. But the people's not going to tell you. And when you get down to Genesis 12th chapter and come on down a little bit further, in the 12th chapter, you can ride 12th chapter all the way through. And it'll tell you, and these are the sons of Ham. In the 12th chapter, 20th verse. These are the sons of Ham, after their family, after their tongues, after their own tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. See, it's different right here. When you go back to chapter 12, go all the way back up to 12 and go all the way back up to 5th verse. Genesis 12:5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their land, everyone after his own tongue, after their families and their nations. It didn't say nothing about countries. It didn't say nothing about countries. It said after their families and their nations. Then you skip down to chapter 12 all the way down to 20 verse. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. The Most High deal directly. Now, 21st verse. 21st verse. Unto Shem also, the father of all these children, all the children of Eber. Shem was the father of Eber too. But Eber did not speak Hebrew. Eber, he was not following the one God concept. He was not following one God and one God only. So in chapter 12, 20 verse, these are the sons of Ham, after their family, after their tongue, in their countries, and in their nations. Unto Shem also the children of all the children of Eber, the borders of Japheth, the brother of Japheth, and the elder. And to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, which is Iran today, and Ashur. Excuse me. And the children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and some more names. You can get in chapter 12 and write it all the way down. In 25th verse. And unto Eber were born 2 sons. Remember, they were divided according to their tongues, their countries, their nations, their families. They were always broken up, man. You just got to get into it, man, and get deeper through it, man. That's what I try to tell my brothers, man. In 31st verse, in 12th chapter, 31st verse. 12th chapter, 31st verse. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. We got to get into that, understand that, man. Like I tell people, Hebrew is not a way of speaking or a dialect. It's a faith. You got to have that one God faith, that one God concept, understand who the Most High is, and he going to deal directly with you, because you know it's one God and one God only. After Abram became Abraham, the people started referring to him as a Hebrew shepherd. And everybody started referring to him as a Hebrew because he followed one God and one God only. He didn't follow the idolatrous worship of his dad. See, Abraham wasn't even in Genesis 12 yet. He didn't even come up yet. They still talking about the generations of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. In 32nd verse, in chapter 12. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations. And by these were the nations divided on the earth after the flood. Remember, 31st verse. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nation. Remember that. After their tongues. It's a reason they telling you they speak a whole different language. They speak a whole different language. The Most High know exactly what he's doing, man. He's not the author of confusion, man. I just like to tell my brothers and sisters out there, man, remember, man, it's not hard when you get back into these scriptures. The whole earth was one of the language. The whole earth was one of, The whole earth was of one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as meaning every last one of them knew what they were saying. Even though they was divided according to their own family, their own tongue, but everybody knew what they were saying. There was no such thing as English. Everybody knew what they were saying. Everybody knew what was going on, even though they spoke their own different tongue. Everybody spoke a whole different setup, man. But the earth was of one language. The language of God. He knew what everybody was down there doing. Everybody knew what they were doing. They had to repopulate the earth. Everybody was of one speech. But every last individual got divided according to their own tongue, their own family, their own nation, got divided to their own county. But they had their own tongue, but they knew what they were saying. There was no such thing as English. The Most High is not the author of confusion. You got to remember that, man. Remember that. The Most High will deal directly with you. And it had come to pass, and this is chapter 11. And it has come to pass as the journey from the east of that found plain session or whatever. I'm going to skip on down. I'm in chapter 11 now. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100-something. I don't get into numbers. Then we skip on down. Shem lived to begot. Skip on down. And Selah lived 30 years and begot Eber. Skip on down. This is chapter 11. I just want you to understand who Eber was. Eber, 400 years and he died. Eber lived 430 years and begot Gela. Eber lived after he begot whatever. And stay in chapter 11. Keep on riding, man. Stay on chapter 11. Keep on riding. And they say nothing about nobody referred to nobody as a Hebrew. Nobody had a different tongue. The people did not refer to him as a Hebrew. You got to keep on skipping. Abraham and Nahor took the wives, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarah. Now we're going to get up here. We're going to go back up to chapter 11, 28th verse. And Haran died before his father Tariq in the land of his nativity, in Ur of Chaldea. And Abraham and Nahor took them wives. This Abraham, his father was Tariq. See, in 27th verse, these are the generations of Tariq. Tariq begot Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. Now, Abraham spoke the language of Tariq. Tariq spoke the language of all of those that were descended from him. But they did not speak Hebrew. Hebrew was not yet ready. Hebrew was a faith, man. Nobody was referred to as a Hebrew yet. Where you get Hebrew? Hebrew didn't come in yet. I just want people to understand that, man. When you get in chapter 11 and you write it all the way down, man, it's telling you straight blatantly, man. It said, can't lead from these Caucasian understanding, man, because they leading you astray. Now, it say 26 verse in chapter 11. And Tariq lived 70 years and begot Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. And these are the generations of Tariq. Tariq begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now, Abraham is where the covenant and the promise is finna lie. Abram is where God's finna choose him when he find out he gonna choose him. You see what I'm saying? When Abraham chose to follow one God and one God only, that's when the Most High said, I got me a soldier. I'm finna use him just like I used Moses. Now, we just got to get into these scriptures, man. Now, these are the generations of Tariq. Terah begot Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot. Remember, Lot is Abraham's nephew. And Haran died before his father Tariq in the land of the nativity, in Ur Chaldea. And Abraham and Nahor took them wives. And the name of Abraham's wife was Sarah. And the name of Nahor's wife was Malachah, the daughter of Haran. And the father of Malachah and the father of Ishka, whatever her name is. And Sarah was barren. She had no children. And Tariq took Abraham his son, and Lot and the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarah his daughter-in-law, and as his son Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of Chaldea. They went forth with them from Ur of Chaldea to go into a land of Canaan. They went into the land of Canaan. Now you understand something. Nobody knew nothing about no Hebrew. It didn't pop up yet, man. The people didn't even refer to nobody as nothing yet. They were just speaking the language of everybody else in that land. But they went forth out of Ur Chaldea to go into the land of Canaan. That was Ham territory. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the day of Tariq went 200 and some years. But I'm going to skip over to the next chapter. I'm going to run a little bit fast through these chapters, man. Y'all just got to keep with me, man. Chapter 12. And the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of the country, from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. Now, if you know the story between Abraham, if you know the story of Abram and his dad, he went into the house. He saw his dad was an idol worshiper, and he broke all the statues. And his dad was like, and he said, what happened here? And he was like, the idol, broke the other idol. And he was like, nah, they ain't got no life. He said, exactly. So he chose to follow one God and one God only. So Abram chose to follow one God and one God only. God told him, he said, the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house and into the land I will show thee. And I will take thee and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thee thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Now, remember this, man. His name is still Abram. His name is still Abram. His name hasn't changed yet. His name has not changed yet. His name don't change until you get to the 17th chapter, 5th verse. And I'm gonna shoot over there real quick, man. Because this is what I like doing, man. I like helping people, man. Eber had nothing to do with being a Hebrew. He had nothing to do with being a Hebrew. At that time, it was so many different. They all understood what they were saying and doing, but they spoke their own different tongue. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like knowing how to speak Spanish and English. And you hear somebody speaking Spanish, you can still speak English. It's kind of hearing somebody speak Italian and you speak English. You can understand they speaking Italian, know what they saying, and you speaking English. But at the end of the day, both of y'all know what y'all talking about. We got to understand that, man. We got to understand that today, man. And I like breaking it down with my brothers and sisters, man, because it's not hard when you understand it, man. And I keep saying it's not hard because it's not. All you got to do is get into these scriptures. And I'm still in chapter 12, man. I'm going to come on down, man. I'm still in chapter 12. So Abraham in chapter 12, verse 4. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him, because he only just spoke to Abram. Did he speak to anybody? Why did he not just speak to everybody? Why didn't he speak to Eber? Why didn't he tell Eber what to do? He didn't tell nobody what to do. He didn't give nobody no assignments. But he told Abram in chapter 12, verse 4. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, from around thy kindred, around your family, and from thy father's house, around your dad. He an idol worship. Get from around that chump. You don't need to be around, because I'm finna do something with you, man. There ain't nobody finna see, man. I'm finna do something very great, man. Unto a land that I will show thee. He had to show him the land. He ain't tell him what land. He just said, I'm gonna show thee. I'm gonna show you what land you're going to. Just get from around your family. So he had to work well with him. And I will make thee a great nation. He's telling them right here what he gonna do. I'm finna make you a great nation, my boy. I'm finna make you a real great nation. I'm finna bless you, my boy. I'm finna bless you. I'm finna make your name great, my boy. And then he said, thou shalt be a blessing. You're gonna be a blessing, because I'm finna take you and I'm finna do something with you that ain't nobody ever seen before. Same thing he did with Noah. I'm finna make you a great nation. Just build that ark for me. And when you get in that ark, I'm gonna tell you what I need you to do, because while you in that water, everything finna be different. So when you dock in the Mount Ararat, that's what they call it, Ararat. When they docked or whatever, they emerged from out the ark. It was time to repopulate the earth. So everybody had to disperse and do what it do. You know, they started out small and they started multiplying, doing what they had to do. You see what I'm saying? But when you get in these scriptures, they speak for themselves. But Eber had nothing to do with Hebrew. Eber had nothing to do with Hebrew. It was a tongue, man. Abram spoke the same language his dad spoke. But when he got from around his kindred and he got from around his family and out of the country that God sent him to, he still spoke the same language his dad spoke. He still spoke the same language his dad spoke. But at the end of the day, the Lord told Abram, he said, Abram, get thee out thy country, from around thy kindred, and from around thy father's house, into the land I will show thee. I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Now we finna fly through here. So Abraham departed from the Lord and spoke unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham 70 to 5. I don't get into the numbers or whatever, man. I don't like what they put. They made it into a story. This is a real life historical event that took place on the earth, man. And people ain't gonna tell you that because they don't have no understanding. They don't have no understanding. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and their substance, and that they had gathered, and the souls that had begotten Haran, and that went forth to go into the land of Canaan. Now he told them they're going into the land of Canaan, into the land of Canaan. They came. Abraham passed the land into the place of Shalom, into the land of Moloch, and the Canaanites was in that land. What language did the Canaanites speak? They didn't speak Hebrew. There was no such thing as a Hebrew. They spoke their own language. Abraham had to get the hell out of that father's house and keep going. But they knew what they, when you walk past somebody and y'all know y'all out there and y'all Hebrew shepherds and y'all got land and y'all know what y'all sheep herders, y'all, hey, and you keep on walking. And you walk up on somebody, you speaking your tongue, I speaking my tongue, but at the end of the day, we know what we're saying to each other. It was no spirit of confusion at that time, man. There was no such thing as an English language, man. That's a fictitious language, just like Yiddish. You gotta understand something. We don't play game, man. The Most High don't play game. He worked well with you, man. And Abraham passed through the land until the place of Shechem and the Canaanites, and then in the land, and the Lord appeared to Abram and said, until thy seed will I give this land. Until your seed, I will give you all of this land in Canaan. I'm going to give you all of this. All this going to be your seeds, all your children. All this going to be their land. Now remember, it took some time before all the seeds got to that land. It had to go from Abraham, had to go to Isaac, had to go through Jacob. Jacob and the son had to grow, and then they had to go back, leave Egypt, then they had to go back and take the land of Canaan, and that became their land. It's like a real story. You just got to get into it, man. It's not hard, man. And at the end of the day, the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, until thy seed, I will give this land. And there built he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. And he removed from hence unto the mountains of the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he built an altar unto the Lord, and came upon the name of the Lord, And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. So he kept on going. But he knew the name of the Most High according to him. All right, and there was famine in the land, and Abraham went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grieving in the land. And who was in Egypt? Ham. They spoke their own language. Gotta understand something. It was a great famine in the land, but there was grievous in the land. And it came to pass when he was coming near to enter Egypt, that he said to Sarah his wife, behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. I mean, she was sexy. I know you a sexual woman to look upon. Therefore I shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. They will kill him and save her alive, because she fine now, so he can't tell her he's his wife. So it come to pass that when Abraham come into the Egyptian behold the woman, that she was very fair. The princess also of Pharaoh saw her, and commanded her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. Give me 1 second. All right, now back to 15th verse. 15th verse. The princess also of Pharaoh saw her, and commanded her before Pharaoh. Now remember, they already grew in numbers. Pharaoh was already enslaving a lot of people around the area, man. He didn't care, man. He was enslaving everybody. Because, remember, the curse of Canaan, he wanted to give him fun of that. He wanted to be able, Ham wanted to instill his own kingdom. You ain't finna enslave me like that. You ain't finna curse me on Canaan. You ain't finna do that to us. Shit, you already been cursed. Did you couldn't see it coming? So understand this. The princess also of Pharaoh saw her, and commanded her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entered, and he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen and asses, which was donkeys or whatever, and man servants and maid servants. And she asses the camel. That means she sat on a camel. And she asses and camels. That means female donkeys and female camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah and Abraham's wife. Because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. That means the Most High plagued Pharaoh's house because of Sarah. You see what I'm saying? Had to make sure she was straight. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this thou hast done unto me? Why dost thou not tell me that she is thy wife? Why saidst thou she is my sister? So I might have taken her to me, and why might taken her to my wife? Now therefore, behold, thy wife, take her and go. He had to lie, say she was my sister. Why you ain't tell me she was your wife, man? The Most High done just played my whole journey. Y'all gotta get the hell up out of here, man. Y'all gotta go, man. Can't sleep with our neighbor's wife, man. Y'all gotta go. That's against the law. Can't sleep with that neighbor's wife, man. Gotta go. And Pharaoh commanded to his men concerning him. And they went and they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. Everything that they gave him, they had to get the hell on. Pharaoh told him, y'all gotta go. So Abraham went out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him unto the south. And Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. Rich. He was a rich shepherd. He wasn't a Hebrew shepherd yet. He was a rich shepherd. He was a rich shepherd. And he went into his journey from the south, even unto Bethel, until the place where his tent had been at the beginning, but between Bethel and Height, until the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abraham called the name of the Lord. He built his altar for the Most High to protect him. So exactly when he went to Egypt, he was squared away. That's how they got plagued, because God was watching over Abraham. He already told him he was going to build him a great nation. So he just went up to Egypt and robbed their he just went to Egypt and robbed their head, man, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abraham called on the name of the Lord. What was the name that Abraham called? Nobody knows. Only Abraham. It's different when Moses knew it. Moses knew him as I am all that I am. And Lot also, which went with Abraham, had flock and herd and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, so they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot cattle. And the Canaanites, see, you already know the Most High was finna bless Abram. He wasn't finna bless everybody else, man. He just wanted Abram. Because Abraham chose to follow one God and one God only. So he gonna make sure he was squared away. I'm gonna make sure he's straight. So it was a strife between Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot cattle. And the Canaanites of the Perizzite dwelt then in that land. Now Abraham said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsmen and thy herdmen. For we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee separated thyself? I pray thee from me. If thou wilt take thy left hand, then I will go to the right. And if thou depart in the right hand, then I will go to the left. That means if you go that way, I go that way. If I go that way, you go that way. So either way we go, we good. We just going to depart, man. So Lot lifted up his eyes, and behold, all the plains of the Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even in the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zorah. Then Lot chose him all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves to one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. Anybody know anything about Sodom and Gomorrah, about King Sodom and King Gomorrah? We'll get in that whenever. You know, I like the whole story, man. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separate from him, lift up thine eyes, and look for the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee I will give, and to the seeds for forever. Remember, he's in the land of Canaan. And I will make thy seeds as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust in the earth, then shall thy seeds also be numbered. Man, you can't count how many children of Israel, man. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it, and I will give it to thee. Then Abraham removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plains of Mamre, which is the Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. See, I'm going to ride through the whole Genesis with y'all, man, because people confused, man. They get caught up thinking that Hebrew is a language. It is a language. It became a language, but Hebrew didn't start with nobody but Abraham, not Eber. Eber had nothing to do with being a Hebrew. People didn't even call Abraham a Hebrew yet. People didn't even refer to him that yet. He didn't get the name until Genesis 17th chapter, and I'm still in 14th chapter. We got to get into this together, man. And it had come to pass in the day of the Amalek king of Samar, our king, Ashur, whatever. I'm in 14th chapter, king of Elam, and the title king of nations, that these made war with Barber king of Sodom, in the Bershah king of Gomorrah. See, that's where Sodom and Gomorrah come from, the two kings right there. And then we're going to skip down, which is in Zor. And they were joined together at the vale of Sodom, and which is Salt Sea. 12 years they served. We're going to skip down. We're going to skip down. We're going to skip down. We're going to skip. And there went the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah. We're going to skip down. Going to skip down. We're still in chapter 14. We're still in chapter 14. Then ride with me. And when Abraham, in chapter 14 verse, and when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, brothers in his own house, 318, and pursued them into Dan. Not the tribe of Dan, or not the son of Dan, but into Dan. And he had divided against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them with Habit, until Habot, whatever that word is, which is on the left of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and his woman, also the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet after his return from the slaughter of the chandlers. And the king, we're going to skip down. We're going to skip through all that, man. We're going to skip through that, man. I just wanted you guys to understand this, man. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the person and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth. And I will not take from a thread even to the sackcloth, that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thine surely say, I have made Abram rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of that men which went with me. Matter of fact, we're gonna skip over here to 15 chapter, Genesis 15 chapter. We're just gonna ride through. And these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, fear not, Abram, I am thy shield, and thy exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what hast thou given me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my houses is this Elzer of Damascus? And Abram said, behold, to me thou hast given no son, and lo, no one to born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the Lord came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but that shall come forth out thine own bowels shall be thine heir, but my heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, look up towards heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seeds be. And he said, believe in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of Chaldea, to give thee this land, to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a penguin, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece against another. But the bird divided he not. And when the fowl came down upon the carcass, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, and deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and lo, and horror and darkness fell upon him. And also said to Abram, know of the security that thou seest shall be a stranger in thy land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom thou shalt serve will I judge, and afterward shall thou come out with great substance, and thou shalt go to thy father in peace. Thou shalt be buried in an old age. I'm gonna skip down. And in the same, and this is the 14th chapter, 18th verse. In the same day, matter of fact, let me correct myself. This is the 15th chapter, 18th verse. And in the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seeds I have given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the Euphrates River, Now we're gonna leave from that chapter. We're gonna skip down. We're gonna go to 16th chapter. I might go a little fast for you, man. I just want y'all to catch up with me, man. Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abram, Behold, now the Lord has restrained me from bearing. I pray thee into my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah. And Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband to be his wife. Now remember, no Hebrew yet. You ain't get no Hebrew yet. Hebrew was no Hebrew yet. No Hebrew yet. His name ain't changed yet. People ain't referred to him as a Hebrew yet. You see what I'm saying? It's a difference. It's a faith, man. When you get into these scriptures, you have a faith in one God and one God alone. It's not hard. And Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abraham, and had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife. And he went unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eye. And Sarah said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eye. The Lord judge between me and thee. But Abraham said unto Sarah, Behold, thy maid is thy hand. Do to her as I pleased thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of the water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Sarah. And he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence comest thou, and whither thou goest? And she said, I flee from the face of mistress Sarah. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to the mistress, and submit thyself unto her hand. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly. I will multiply your seed, which is Ishmael. I will multiply your seed exceedingly. No Hebrew yet. If they were going to stay Hebrew, Ishmael would not be a Muslim today. Ishmael would not be a Muslim today, man. Arabs would not be Muslim. Now listen, this is 10th verse on the 16th chapter. 10th verse, 16th chapter. And the angel of the Lord, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, and it shall not be numbered for multitudes. Just because the Ishmaelites growing in number 2017 don't mean they're Hebrew. They're not. And to 11th verse, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and she bare a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael. Ishmael. His number's going to be exceedingly. Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man. This is where you get the Arabs at, man. If you want to get it to these scriptures, this is where you get the Arabs at, man. No Hebrew. Hebrew was not a Hebrew. Hebrew did not. Ishmael is supposed to be the Arab, because it tells you right here, 12th and 16th chapter, 12th verse. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man. He finna cut heads off everybody. He don't care about nobody. Them Arabs don't care about nobody, man. He will be a wild man. His hand will be against everybody. Every man, and every man hands against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord and spake unto her. My husband said he like, thank you, my brothers. Thank you. Shalom. Shalom. Appreciate it. And he said the name of the Lord and she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her. Thou God seest me. For she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the wild well was called, I can't say that name. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bared, what it is. And Hagar bare Abraham a son, Ishmael, a wild man. His hand will be against any man. Now, my thing is, people want to get confused about who was Eber. Eber was just a great-grandson of Noah. That's it. The people didn't refer to him as no Hebrew. It wasn't until the 17th chapter, 5th verse, when they described Abraham from going from Abram to Abraham. When you tell people your name is Abram, and all they know is Abram, then you finally tell them, hey, just call me Abraham. Abraham for what? Oh, you're a Hebrew now. Oh, you're a Hebrew. Yeah. Yeah, you're a Hebrew. Because of his faith, man. His faith. So we're going to get back into the story. 16th chapter, 15th verse. And Hagar bore Abraham a son. And Abraham called his son's name, which Hagar bare, Ishmael. And Abraham was 60 years when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abraham. Now, I don't get into these numbers, so don't quote me on these numbers, man. I don't like these numbers. I just like the story. Abraham was whatever these scores was. Abraham, whatever these scores was, when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abraham. Now, Sarah was displeased at that, man, because Abraham had him a son. But the Most High already said there's going to be a separation between Ishmael and Isaac. The covenant going to lie with Isaac because he going to have a maid. He going to have Sarah is free. They free women because the Most High is guarding Abraham and Sarah, not Hagar. Now, we're going to get back into the story. 17th chapter, Genesis. I'm finna just break it down for y'all, family. That's all, man. And when Abraham was, how old Abraham was, the Lord appeared to Abraham and said to him, I am the Almighty. Walk before me, and I will be thy perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abraham fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name no more be called, neither shall thy name no more be called Abram. Abram, no more your name will be called Abram, but thy name shall be called Abraham. Abraham. It's a reason why his name changed right there. He's still speaking the language of his dad from Ur and Chaldea. He's still speaking the same language. But now his name has changed. But the name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. All these kings that came out of him was not Hebrew if they was sticking to the one God faith, man. Ishmael, is he sticking to the one God faith today? What are the Arabs over there doing? Who are they praising? It was 609 when they came out. Prophet Muhammad wrote the Quran. He wrote the Quran, so then they're falling up under the Hebrew faith. The Most High is not dealing with them. They put the children of Jacob into the sub-Saharan slave trade. You see what I'm saying? Because when Sarah got pregnant with Isaac, Hagar and Ishmael had to go. They were pissed off by that. But you already know he's going to be a wild man. He's going to be a wild man. So you know he's going to be against every man. So you know he's going to be pissed off at Isaac. You know he's going to be against them, but he already told you right there in the story. Just got to get into it. Many people don't like to get into it. Man, I stay in the story. And I will establish my covenant. See, this is what God was telling Abraham. And I will establish my covenant between me and you, and thy seed after thee in the generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and thy seed after thee. And I will give thee unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, in the land wherein there are a stranger, all the land of Canaan, all the land of Canaan, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. The land of Jerusalem is for the children of Jacob, for everlasting possession. It belongs to us. It don't belong to no other nation but ours. All these other individuals on the earth right now that speak in different tongues of different nations, they never followed the Hebrew faith like Abraham, man. Had nothing to do with Eber. Now, get back into the story. 8th verse on chapter 17. 8th verse. And I will give thee, and thou seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. And I will be their God. All your children. Abraham didn't even have Isaac yet. God just telling them, I just changed your name. The whole world gonna know you. You ought to be a father of many nations. The whole earth gonna know you, man. 2017, the whole planet know who he is. And if they don't, they ignorant. They supposed to be. The Most High is not dealing with them. They castaways. And God said unto Abraham, in 9th verse, and God said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant before thee. Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed Isaiah 29:22 tells you concerning Abraham, at God redeemed Abraham concerning the house of Jacob. Just like God redeemed Abraham concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob shall not now be ashamed, nor his face wax pale. My face never waxed pale, man. We got to understand that Ishmael was born a black man. But over time, genealogy of man, when the whitewashing, got to understand something, man. Get into these scriptures and let them pounce off at the page at you, man. You're going to fall in love with the scripture, man. You're going to fall in love with the Bible, man. It's not that hard. And 10th verse. And this is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seeds after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. Right here is the circumcision. Right here is 10 verse. 10 verse in chapter 17 in Genesis. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man among you shall be circumcised. Right here, 10th verse, chapter 17, circumcision, right here. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you. Me and you. Ishmael came out. He ain't circumcised him, did it? I don't even think he circumcised him yet. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. So he got to go back and circumcise. He got to go back and circumcise Ishmael. Because Ishmael came out, he wasn't circumcised yet. You got to understand these, man. Get into these scriptures, man. He wasn't circumcised yet. So God taught Abraham, told him, go back and circumcise Ishmael, basically. So he went back, he said, and he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generation. He that is born in the house or brought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not thy seed. All of them need to be circumcised. If you buy with money and they're a stranger, all of them going to be circumcised if they belong to you. Every last one of them going to be circumcised. That's the covenant Most High was telling with Abraham. I'm finna make you a Hebrew shepherd. I'm finna make you a shepherd, a man of many nations. The people going to refer to him as a Hebrew. He that is born in thy house, and he that is brought with money. All right, 14. The uncircumcised man child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They shall be circumcised. Ishmael got circumcised too. We got to get into these scriptures, man. Everybody else in that land was not Hebrew. Did Eber get his foreskin circumcised? Did Eber get foreskin circumcised? Did Abram's skin get foreskin circumcised? No. He had no covenant, man. They was out there just living, fornicating, man. Populating the earth, man. And God said unto Abraham, this is 15th verse. And God said unto Abram and Abraham, as for Sarah, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yeah, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. King of people shall be of her. Every more child after her. Kings of her sons and more sons, man. They going to be more sons and more sons, man. This just didn't start with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. It started branching off. Man. You had to come back, man. And I will bless her and give thee a son after her. Yeah, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. King of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? It kind of was hilarious because in that time there was no 190 years, man. This man was an old man because his face was gray. His hair was gray, man. He was growing in open age, man. And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee? So you telling me Ishmael gonna live before I even have another son and Sarah with my wife, man? Come on, man. How? What am I supposed to do? I'm an old man now, man. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear a son, indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. Isaac. This is the lineages of Hebrew right here. This is where the Hebrew came in at, because he had a covenant established with the Most High. You see what I'm saying? They had to circumcise the foreskin of all their sons. Eber didn't circumcise nobody, man. Eber didn't sacrifice nobody. He didn't get a covenant to shave the foreskin off nobody. Most High wasn't dealing with Eber like that, man. And God said to Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him. The new covenant. Abraham became a father of many nations. Isaac finna get his own covenant. Said nothing about Ishmael, but it's gonna tell you about Ishmael. Let me get down to it. And with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I will bless him too, and make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. These Arabs today are a great nation because the Most High God made it that way. Made it so. Made them a great nation, man. He gave them a great nation. He told them they were going to be a wild man. He told them he was going to be against every man. He told them he was going to rise up in power. He told them, but he's not over the children of Jacob. They rising up according to Muslims' faith. That's a fictitious religion because they came about into 609 AD when they wrote the Quran. Now get back into the story. But my covenant, this 21st verse in the 17th chapter, 21st verse. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, not Ishmael. Not Ishmael. Ishmael is still a powerful nation. Ishmael is still a powerful nation to this day. The Arabs still a powerful nation. But they're not on top of the children of Jacob. No. And all you cats that want to say Eber is where they came up with Hebrew. No, it was Heber. He's not Hebrew. It wasn't Hebrew till Abraham got the covenant from the Most High God and started circumcising the boys, circumcising the men, man. Wake up, man. Wake up, people. Let's do this shit together, man. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee, that this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abram. And Abram took Ishmael his son, and all that was born in his house, and all that was brought with his money, every male among the men in Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh. Circumcision. That's where you get the Hebrew custom from. Word. Do the work, baby. Do the work. Do the work, baby. Do the work. Do the work. So you got to get into these scriptures, man. Let it romanticize your mind, man. Ain't hard to do. Talk to the people, man. And Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all that was born in his house, and all that was brought with his money, every male among the men in Abraham's house, and circumcised a Hebrew custom, not the rest of the world's custom. Keep your secret. Ain't hard, man. You got to get into it, man. Abraham circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the self same day, as God said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old. Abraham was 90 years and 9 old. 90 years old and 9. That means he was 99 years old. And when he was circumcised in the flesh of the foreskin, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised. Bingo. That's the kicker. He said every son that's supposed to be 8 days old, circumcise them. But Ishmael was 13 years old when he got his first circumcision. See, he's going to be a great nation, man, but he's not a Hebrew. He's the firstborn son of the Most High, man, because that's his son. He's the firstborn son of Abraham because that's his son. But the Most High said, I'm going to bless him, though. Princes should be coming of him. He's going to be a real mighty nation. And Ishmael, the son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And the same day was Abraham circumcised. And in that self same day was Abraham circumcised. You see how old Abraham was when he got circumcised? Abraham was an old man when he got circumcised. That man had a turtle dick, man, until he was old, man. And Ishmael, his son, and all the men of his house born in the house and bought with his money of strangers were circumcised with him. Come on, man. Get into these scriptures, man. Let them romanticize your mind, man. It's not hard, man. People got to understand these scriptures. Chapter 18, Genesis. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre. And he sat in the tent door of the heat of that day. And he lifted up his head and looked. And lo, the man stood up with him. And he saw them and ran to meet them at the front tent and bowed and face toward the ground and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, okay, let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourself under the tree. Under the tree, and I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye in thy heart. After that ye shall pass away. For therefore ye are still come. Hold on. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your heart. After that ye shall pass on. For therefore are ye come to your servant. And I said, so do. And thou said, and Abraham hastened to the tent unto Sarah, and said, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the heart. And Abraham ran to the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it into a young man, and he has to dress it. And he took butter and milk and calf, in which he dressed it, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And he said with them, where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, behold, in the tent. And he said, I am certainly returning to thee according to the time of the life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And and Sarah heard it in the tent door which was behind him. And Abraham and Sarah were old and very stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old. It didn't say wax pale, it say wax old, meaning you're going to be old and black. Wax old? Shall I have pleasure? My Lord being old also. And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of surely bear a child, which am old? Is it anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee, according to the time of life. And Sarah said, shall have a son? Then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, for she was afraid. And she said, nah, but how's this laugh? And the man arose up from the hence and looked toward Sodom. And Abraham went with them to bring them on their way. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment. And the Lord may bring upon Abraham in which he had spoken of him. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which is coming out unto me. See, the way the Most High is talking right now in here, it's saying like he dwelt among them in flesh. How? It's simple. Most High do all things, man. You never know who you're talking to nowadays, man. You never know who you're talking to, man. And when they go down and see whether they have done altogether according to the cries of it, which is coming unto me. And if not, I will know. And the man turned his face from hence and went toward Sodom. And the man turned his face toward hence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous and the wicked? Now here's where the 2 angels went into the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. I told you, the angels were in flesh then, man. You can understand how the Most High worked, man. That's a powerful dude, man. If y'all can't get into this, man, I don't know what y'all do, man. Y'all can't get into this. I can't help it, man. My best, I'm trying to teach him, man. So, and the man turned his face toward and hence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and spare the place of the 50 righteous that are therein? Be far from thee. Do after this manner. Because you remember, the Most High talks through angels, man. He sent angels, man. The 2 angels that went into Sodom and Gomorrah were in flesh, man. I knew it. I knew I was talking about. I knew what I was talking about. These Caucasians don't know nothing about this Bible, man. Don't know nothing about this Bible, man. When the angel went into the city of Sodom and destroyed it, man, the Most High went back home, man. He walked among them. He dwelt among them, man. It's tripping, man. It's tripping, man. This is tripping, man. It's tripping, man. Got to get into this, man. And be far from thee. Let me get back into it. 24th verse on chapter 18. 24th verse. Pre-adventure there. This is about Sodom and Gomorrah. Pre-adventure there. Be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far from thee, to do after this manner, and slay the righteous with the wicked, and the righteous shall be as the wicked, and be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place from that sake. And Abraham answered and said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. And Abraham answered and said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Pre-adventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he spoke unto him again and said, pre-adventure there shall be 40 found in the city. And he said, I will not do it for its sake. The Lord already knew. God already knew. When I walk into that city, man, ain't nobody in there righteous, man. I'm finna destroy that whole city, man. I'm finna go too. So I'm going back home, man. I'm finna destroy everything, man. I already redeemed you, man. You gonna be my soldier. I'm gonna leave a covenant with you, man. You already circumcising your boys. Y'all don't need me down here on earth with y'all no more. So I'm finna haul ass now. Finna go to Sodom and tear that bitch up now. Me and my partner, man, we finna go tear that bitch up now. And so you understand something. The Most High sits high, man, when you look low. So it's 2 angels he talking to, but he talking through the angels, man. So they always got to refer to him as Lord and God. You got to understand this, man, one day. But I love it, man. Dope, baby. Oh, this ain't no young thug in no dress, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Y'all got to understand this, man. This is 100% real, man. Factual, man. These Caucasians been lying to y'all for forever and a day, man. Make y'all some slaves. Y'all got to wake up one day. And he said unto him, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak peradventure. There shall 30 be found there. And he said, I would not do it if I find 30 there. Basically, he's bargaining with the Most High. He's like, look, please, because it's 2 angels that finna go into that city of Sodom and destroy it. Because the Most High sitting on the throne in heaven. But he's talking through these 2 angels. One of them in there, but they know him as Lord because they don't know who he's speaking to. They know he's the God, though. They know he's the man, though. But these 2 angels finna go into Sodom. And they breaking it down, trying to bargain with it like, look, man, if it's like 30, because he's trying to save his nephew Lot. That's what he's trying to save, man. He's trying to save his nephew Lot, man. This ain't got nothing to do with Eber. Eber ain't sacrificed, man. Eber ain't cut no foreskin and circumcised nothing. The Most I know what he's doing, man. And he said, and behold, and 31st verse, and he said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall there be 20 found there. And he said, I would not destroy it even if it's 20 found in that city. And he said, O Lord, not be angry. I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way. And as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, returned to his place. Chapter 19, Genesis. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat at the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he said, but bowed his head face toward the ground. And he said, behold now, my Lord, turn in, I pray unto you, unto the servant's house. Now see what I'm trying to get in, man. I'd already established Abraham was referred to as a Hebrew after he started circumcising his kids, everybody in his house. He started circumcising his name. After his name was changed, he started circumcising. Eber didn't circumcise nobody. Eber didn't circumcise nobody, man. People started referring to him as a Hebrew shepherd because of his covenant with the Most High God, man. Y'all got to get into these scriptures, and I told you, let them romanticize your mind, man. That's all you got to do, man. It's not hard. So when he went to the city, this is chapter 19. I don't need to get into all the way to 19, man. I just wanted to help break it down with y'all, man, and show y'all, man, it's not that hard to get into, man, because Eber had nothing to do with who Abraham was, man. They went into the city of Sodom. And we don't need to get into the full story, because I like to do it slowly but surely with y'all, man. I like working with y'all, man, because y'all my brothers and sisters, man. And like I tell you, man, I love y'all, man. And every time I do this, man, I do this for us, man. I don't do this for nobody else but us, man. How much time I got? I got 23% left on my phone, man. I'm finna chop it up with y'all, probably tomorrow. But I just want to let y'all know, look, Eber was referred to as Heber. That was Noah's grandson, great-grandson of Noah. But the Most High was not dealing with him, man. They was all divided within their own tongue. It wasn't until Abraham got his name changed from Abram to Abraham and started circumcising, and the covenant lied on Abraham to be a father of many nations. That's when the Hebrew faith was born. Following in one God. His dad, Tariq, from Ur Chaldea, he didn't sacrifice nobody. Abraham didn't sacrifice his dick till he was old. He ain't sacrificed nothing till he was an old man. Before he had Isaac. He had to sacrifice his dick, man. He ain't sacrificed nothing. So when he had Isaac, he was able to sacrifice everything. He was able to do what he had to do, man. So when I don't even think they got him. Matter of fact, let me go to 20 chapter real quick. Let me see what's in 20 chapter, man. Let me see when Abraham had Isaac, man. In 20 chapter, it says, and Abraham journeyed from hence toward the south country and dwelt with Kadesh and sojourned her. And Abraham said, "Our wife is my sister." And Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, "She is my sister." The king of the city sent and took Sarah. But God came against again because in a dream by night and said to him, "Behold, thou art but a bad man for the woman thou have taken, for she is a man's wife." Every time Abraham went into a city, he always told everybody his wife was his sister. So when the man slept with her, the God went against that nigga. Abraham was a G, man. Abraham come straight jack your shit, man. Abraham wasn't no old man. Abraham run up on you, man. He said, "Oh, that's my sister. That's just my sister. She was fine now. Oh, that's just my sister." So they'll take her and go try to lay with her. But that's my wife. So God went against them, man. See, that's how Abraham slick, man. Abraham slick now. Abraham slick now. And he took Sarah. And God came against Abimelech in the dream by night and said to him, "Behold, thou art but a dead man for the woman that hath taken, for she is a man's wife." But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, "Lord, wilt thou have slain also a righteous nation?" Said he not unto me, "She is my sister." And even she herself said, "He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and in innocency of my hands have I done this." And God said unto him in a dream, "Ye, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffer I thee and not to touch her. Now therefore restore the man his wife, and he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and shall live, and thou shalt restore her, not knowing that thou surely die." And all there. Let me get down. Let me get down to let me tell you when Isaac was born. Let me get into when Isaac was born, man. Give me a minute, man, cause you know I love this, man. This is my passion. This is what I love to do, man. People can't do that, man. Everybody can't do it, man. You gotta let the spirit guide you, man, and let the pages, let the scriptures speak for themselves, man. Romanticize your mind, man. When was Isaac born, man? I can tell that suck, and I can tell you a demon. I can tell you a big story, baby. I keep your secret. In Genesis 21st chapter. I'm finna go to Genesis 21st chapter. Now, everybody knew Abraham was a Hebrew shepherd after the fact he started circumcising. But it wasn't until the 21st chapter Isaac was born. I think you will lead me. Now, I'm finna jump into that real quick. Lead me. All right, see, right now I'm on the 20th chapter. I'm finna go to the 21st chapter. Work. Do the work, baby, do the work. Baby, do the work, baby, do the work. And the Lord visited with Sarah. And he also said to the Lord, did not Sarah had spoken? For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time in which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son was born to him, whom Sarah born to him, Isaac. 21st chapter now. 21st chapter when Isaac was born now. Ishmael was born back over there in 17. Matter of fact, let me go back and see when Isaac was born. Ishmael was born again. You know, I like to play. I like this, man. This is what I love to do, man. This is my passion, man. 18th chapter, man. Go back to 18th chapter, man. Matter of fact, I think it's 17th chapter. In 17th chapter when Ishmael was born. Ishmael was born in 17th chapter, man. No, 16th, what is it, 16th chapter? I think it was 16th chapter. I'm going to go from 16th chapter and tell you exactly when Ishmael was born. I'm going to line it up with where Isaac was born, man. Okay, in 16th chapter, 15th verse, Hagar bore Abraham a son. And Abraham called his son named Hagar, bare him was Ishmael. Remember, that's the 16th chapter. We finna skip all the way back to 21st chapter. 21st chapter. We gotta let the thing romanticize your mind, man. Ain't German. Y'all gotta have fun with these pages, man. I don't know how many people take it unseriously, man. You gotta have fun with these pages, man, to be serious about it, man. There's too many cats that don't know what they doing, man. I love it, man. You pastors in the church charging you for this, man. This thing is free, man. And the Lord said to Sarah in the 21st chapter, first verse, going all the way through, like I do, I'm gonna go all the way through. And the Lord said, and the Lord visited Sarah as he said he would. And the Lord said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, in the set time in which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. Isaac. Ishmael, you know, they was already finna get the hell on. Watch this now. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old. And God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old. Well, man, look, I don't get into ages, man. Abraham was just an old ass man, man. And when his son was born unto him, and Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? And if I had bore him a son in this old age, and the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah said that, and Sarah saw the son of Hagar, an Egyptian, in which she had born unto Abraham, mocking. Tell that she was mocking now. Sarah saw the son of Hagar. Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking. Oh, they were laughing because she was old lady and had a son, had an old age, baby. Look, got to say, man, I ain't gonna get into the book. Y'all gotta ride with me, man. So Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, she had born with Abraham, mocking. Okay, I'm gonna show you about mocking. Wherefore she had said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir to my son, even with Isaac. Hey, there go that jealousy right there. There go that vendetta right there. Right there. Abraham, the Ishmael growing up, they already know who we are. They don't like us either. They want to keep the thumb on our back too. They conspire. They went against us in the sub-Saharan slave trade. And they conspire with the Edomites in the transatlantic slave trade. And they let them do what they want to do. They came against us. But it's time to romanticize this shit, man. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. See, listen now. And for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. Since I had Isaac, you know I'm going to have some more sons. Come on now, get into the scripture with me now. And the thing, oh, my battery going dead, people. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of the bondwoman. And all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That means the covenant is going to be with Isaac, man. And also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. Don't worry, man. I got y'all. Y'all going to be straight because he my son. So God going to take care of him. He going to make him a great nation. But y'all got to go. Y'all got to go. And also the sons of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is my seed. Now we're going to skip down to 14th verse. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, put it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness in Bathsheba. She wandered in the wilderness at Bathsheba, and the water was spent on the bottle. And she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down she sat down over against him and gave a way off, and good way off, as it was bestowed. For she said, let me not see the death of my child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard her voice of the lad. And God heard the voice of the lad. And the angel of God called to Hagar out of the heaven. And she said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad. Where is he? Because that's Abraham's son. Remember, Ishmael is Abraham's son. He's still going to make him a great nation. But he's a wild man. He's going to be against every man. Remember, Eber had nothing to do with being a Hebrew. Understand this. This is what I do. This is what I do, people. And God opened her eyes. And she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad drink. That's Ishmael. And God was with the lad. And he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. That boy Ishmael hell now. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him to the wife out of the land of Egypt. And his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. And it come to pass that this time that Amalek and Pesco, that the captain chief, he has spoken unto Abram, saying, God is with thee in all thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me, here by God, that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and in the land wherein thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham approved. I can't say some of these names, man. These names kind of ancient, man. Because of the well of water, which Amalek the servant had violently taken away. Amalek, whatever the dude name, I believe in 26th verse, in 21st chapter, 26th verse. I will not who have done. I don't like this shit, but sometimes I love it. It says, and Amalek said, I will not who have done these things, neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today. And Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Amalek, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock of themselves. And Amalek said to Abraham, what mean this 7 ewe lambs which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, for these 7 ewe lambs shall thou take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I have dug this well. Whereof he called this place Bathsheba, because there they swear both of them. They made a covenant right there, a pact with each other. Thus they made a covenant by Bathsheba. And the angel rose up and keep whatever his name is. That's 32nd verse. I'm skip down. And Abraham planted a grove in Bathsheba and called there on the name of the Lord, an everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned to the Philistine land for many days. Now, I just really wanted to get into this segment right here, man, to show y'all, man, Eber had nothing to do with being a Hebrew. Hebrew is a lifestyle. It's a way of life. Abraham became the first man known as a Hebrew shepherd, man, because of the circumcision, because of the promise to the Most High God, man. Nobody in the land was being circumcised until Abraham, man. Nobody, man. Eber had nothing to do with it. That was his great-grandson of Noah. His name was Heber. There's a lot of cats that get into these knowledge, man, but they do not stick to the understanding, and they don't get into the historical evidence, too. Because if you get into the story and you line up the biblical scriptures with historical facts and what's going on around the earth today, man, it makes perfect sense. But I'm going to tell you guys, shalom, I love y'all, man, and I'm going to chop it up with y'all tomorrow because my phone about to die, man, and I just want to tell y'all peace and blessing, man. Shalom, man.